Yeah, the main project at OIT is a really hard one to answer because we're so broad. We're doing so many different things. But I would say, the thing for me at the CIO level is trying to create the capacity for more innovation. So one of the numbers that's really top of mind for me right now is 91. That's 91% of our time in the office of technology is spent doing KTLO, or keep the lights on, keeping the systems running. We've got, depending on how you count them, either 500, 1,000, or 3,000 different systems we're trying to keep running. And so when you're doing that, it takes up a lot of your time, and that means you can't innovate as much as you'd like to. You can't keep people moving forward. So one of the things that we just had passed at the state was called Lifecycle Management Bill. And that's to get people to understand the total cost of ownership around technology, and to acquire technology with the understanding that sooner or later these assets are going to become liabilities and they're going to hurt us, and we have to have that in mind when we acquire them and implement them so that we can have a more sustainable approach to government IT and create the capacity to do the things that are really going to move the needles for our agencies and their missions. Yeah, so AI is a great one. Governor Polis has been really clear with me that he wants to be bullish on AI, and we are doing everything we can to make sure that we're using AI in ways that make a lot of sense. We call it the responsible use of AI in the public sector. So what does that mean? It means that we're proactively doing things like a Gemini pilot. Gemini is the Google AI product, and Google is our productivity suite, so it makes sense for us to use a product like that that's already integrated with what we do. I'm really proud of this effort. We created a pilot for Gemini, and we got about 150 folks across the state using it in different ways. And so we would hear from our folks who are doing spreadsheets. They're analysts, that's their job, so they're in spreadsheets all the time, so they're using Google Sheets, and how are they going to use Gemini to make themselves more productive? And seeing how that evolved and how people were using that technology to do that was really exciting. That was enabled by us saying, we're going to be bullish on this, we're going to get that technology out there, and we're going to have a structured way of seeing how it's used and not try to make it top down, but more grassroots, bottom up. One of the things that came out of that was we had a pretty high percentage of our folks who are neurodivergent that participated in that, who have an accessibility issue like blindness, and that understanding of how they're going to use that emerging technology and how it makes their lives better and their jobs better and their productivity better was really powerful from that pilot group. But it's definitely not sitting on the sidelines with this stuff, but it's also recognizing that there are dangers to any new technology. And people have to have an understanding. So training's been a big component of this. We use Innovate US to train our folks on the responsible use of AI, so they don't go in and say take personally identifiable information and somehow load it into an AI system. We're using it to make sure the AI tools we have the right data sharing agreements and that kind of thing. I can draw an analogy to just spreadsheets, to use an example, or any other technology. So it's not like AI, for example, is going to replace your doctor or your government analyst, but your government analyst or your doctor who uses AI will replace those who don't. It's kind of hard to imagine a financial planner not knowing how to use spreadsheets today. You probably could be a financial advisor and not have any idea how to use a spreadsheet, but most of them are going to learn how to use those tools and be productive with them. And the same thing holds with AI or any other technology that's out there. People who can leverage these technologies, use them, embrace them to do their jobs are probably going to be more productive and therefore the sought after resource than those who don't. So one of the concepts and phrases we use all the time is humans at the helm. We have a higher standard for technology. There are, just to take a sort of a remote example here, there are people that die on the roadways every day, get serious bodily injury. We're okay with that as a society because people are driving the cars. We get very concerned when autonomous vehicles start to create accidents and that kind of thing. And the same thing holds true with all technologies. We hold them to a higher standard, and therefore we have to have humans at the helm making the decisions. Can we have AI help somebody who's seeking benefits get through the 212-page PDF document and get their benefits? Sure, but should AI be making the decision about whether that person actually gets the benefits? No, that should not be happening. We need to have people making these sensitive decisions that impact people's lives. But just like you have to be careful of what's happening in a spreadsheet, you have to be careful about what's happening with AI. It's the same set of tenets, and it all boils down to, are we training our people and managing our people correctly so they know how to use these tools responsibly? Yeah, I think a couple of things. One, we're looking for our vendors to be partners, and that means they need to understand our business and our priorities and what our goals are, and help us understand how they can be a part of that. I think when a vendor doesn't understand what we do, what we're trying to do, then right out of the gate it's very difficult for them to evolve from being a vendor and therefore undifferentiated to a partner and therefore very differentiated. And we value partners a lot more than we value a vendor who just can tell us what they do, but it's the same thing that any other vendor might say they can do to help us. That just doesn't, there's no value proposition in that. So I think a vendor that takes the time to really understand what we do, what we're trying to do, and how they uniquely perhaps, or at least in a very value-added way, can help us get there, those are the folks we want to talk to. The folks who just tell us what they do, it's not really driving home that partnership that we're looking for. Yeah, well, I love these kind of events. There are a lot of them this fall. I've been to a few. I can't think of the last week where we didn't have an event like this, but I keep coming to them because they're, in addition to the subject matter expertise that comes from the speakers and the content that these types of forums deliver, I just have so many. I've already had probably 5 conversations today with people that I know, people I don't know, about things that I can act on afterwards. And just by bringing, especially in this day and age of remote work, you just don't have those casual, water cooler, quintessential water cooler types of conversations. So having a place where we can get together and say, hey, I need to follow up with you on that. And yeah, we can work together on that. Those types of examples, or those types of connections, occur at places like this, and they can't be scripted. They sort of happen organically and somewhat randomly, but you just have to put yourself in the right place at the right time. So I try to be here at a lot of these, especially if they're right here in Denver, and it's easy to travel to. And I am just thrilled that so many folks from City and County of Denver, Arapahoe County, I've talked to a number of the DMV at the state. I didn't know those folks. Getting to know them and finding out what we're doing and what we can do together is really important.